Usually around 11 o'clock we have the last service.
And so the funeral, if you like.
Funeral, yes, the funeral, if you like. And it's a church service on the marae as well, and then everyone's there acknowledging, and then we pick the body up, and then as you've seen the most, that's when people become overcome with emotions, and that's when we take the body as well, and we can put them into our own vehicle. We can use the funeral directors as well. That's when you'll start to see the haka, and people start grieving as well, and that becomes quite a powerful moment too. For me personally, it's the haka is very private. I really do it.
Personally do it.
Sometimes it becomes sort of cliche.
when
a lot of people
it's like
do it.
Cultural show.
Yes, exactly. But for me, I'm probably one of those only Maori guys you'll ever meet that's got no tattoos or anything like that.
I was thinking that a minute ago, actually.
But for me, it's private.
It's
I was always raised. It's in here and comes out here. But back on track. So once the body's taken out, we have our own burial ground, which we call an urupa. So at the urupa. Urupa. Yeah. I'll give you the spelling for that as well.
Yeah.
So the urupa are our own burial ground.
So it belongs to the marae?
Belongs to the family.
Right.
And so it's got all of our, majority of our ancestors in there as well.
Right.
That's great.
So we take them back to be with their family.
How far is that from the marae normally?
From our marae, it's 11 k's, only because I know that because I've run from our marae to go up there just for a run.
Running.
Totally different, but when I've gone
It's
to see
a
Dad. But it's about 11 k's, but we drive super slow, it's like a proceeding as well. So we leave the marae, then we take the body up to the burial site.
All the cars are in tow, they're all coming along.
All the cars are in tow. And then once again, the local people, my family, will welcome us into the burial ground. So there's a ceremony around that too. Then there's, the whole ceremonial process, similar to Western style, where you have a church service. Then we lower the body. Then when we lower the body, that's the other hard time, from closing the lid and then lowering the body. And then we...
it's very real.
It is very real. It is real.
Everyone who's there normally comes along, and for us, what we like to do is acknowledge the deceased as being put down, and once at the bottom, everyone comes around and says their last respects, grabs a bit of dirt or flour and throws it in there. And then once everyone's come through, then all the Kazi bros come in and bury the body, and then we start putting the dirt back in, and we look after everything.
So you put the dirt in yourself. So that must take a bit of a while, does it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And to backtrack that early that morning, so you'll have family members. The men will go up to the burial site and then they'll dig the hole. And that's always done. It's not done with a backhoe. It's done with a shovel.
Really?
And so
that was some back-breaking work.
There's a couple of truckloads of
you'd have
Kazi bros
people coming in.
You do. You go up there and everyone shares.
Kazi bros are like it.
But it's part of the bonding process too. Because you're going to see your loved ones who are there. You're acknowledging them. You're digging your hole. You're with your family members. You're connecting again. And this is a side story as well. So whenever we go through a burial ground or a burial site, we always acknowledge that site as well. So you'll quite often, it's normal if we're driving along, it's complete silence, and we'll just wave out and say hello, beat the horn, even pull over, acknowledge, and then we'll continue on our journey as well. Once we've loaded the body, we've covered it up with dirt as well. Then we leave the burial site, and then we go back to the marae where the person was laying in state. And then everyone waits at a time, and then once again, part of the ceremony and the tradition as well, you're welcome back onto the marae. And then everyone sits down to a nice, and you sit there and congregate until the family are ready to invite you in for a meal, and that's when you have a really nice big meal together, and celebrate and acknowledge and share stories, and once again, and acknowledge especially the people, all your family have laboured over the last 3 days.
And again, normalising the fact that now it's done and we're all still in this together.
Pretty much. You have a nice big meal, and then it's a celebration with 4X.
What sort of meal do you have? Before we get to the 4X, what sort of meal? Is it a hangi?
Yeah, it is a hangi.
Right.
Yeah. So we have
what's
a
a
hangi.
hangi, please?
So
I'll put some photos up.
Yeah, so a hangi is a lot of root vegetables and meats are put into the ground.
Okay.
So that's a process that's done during the day. So that last day we close the lid, we have that prayer, we go to breakfast. Then you have a group that will go and do the dig the hole.
Yeah.
And
The grave.
The grave.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, dig the hole.
Yeah.
And then you have another group that are going to get the fire ready.
Yep.
For the hangi.
Right.
So the fire is, we have hot coals or
Yeah.
iron now, and we've got to burn those up. So we start the fire for those to burn those, and they'll start early in the morning to keep the fire burning. So then we heat the coals up. There's a hole or pit that we've already pre-dug as well. Once those coals are up to the right temperature, we'll let everything burn, get those coals, put them in the ground.
Yeah.
Everyone's been prepping food as well. We'll put all the meat
trays
on the bottom.
of all the
Trays
potatoes.
of meat, trays of meat, chicken, pork, beef, and then we put all the root vegetables on top, and then we'll put some linen over. Then we put some wet sacks, and then we put some canvas over like a tarpaulin. Then we'll put dirt on, and that's primarily. And then we'll wet everything as well for the steam off the rocks to be able to cook all the food.
Okay.
And so how long does that take, the cooking process?
Hour and a half to 3 hours.
Is that all?
Yeah,
Okay.
depending on it totally depends on
Okay, yeah.
sometimes the dirt or the soil or the time or how big it is as well. How big's your hole? So
But you have hangis for lots of different reasons, don't
Absolutely,
you? It's like
yeah.
a barbecue.
yeah, it is. It is pretty
Okay.
much. It
Yeah.
is.
Oh, okay.
You don't have it just for for all types of celebrations.
Okay.
I know people here in Brisbane that have it for like on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Every second Sunday they'll have
Yeah.
one.
And when you have to feed a big crowd, that'd be a good way to do it.
It is. It is. It's
Okay.
a really easy way to do it.
Wow.
Is there ever cremation?
Optional now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In your tradition,
Yes.
though?
Yeah. So once again, as I said, as disclaimer just to my tribe
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
So our belief was, and still is, to an extent that Adam and Eve, God created Adam and Eve from earth, and so for us it's about going back to earth. So we're primarily always buried.
Okay.
But there are options now if people want to be cremated.
So what do people wear to funerals?
To funerals, primarily all black.
Or to
The last
3
day.
days?
Yeah. Oh, during the day. So if you're around the body, you're always in black.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're with the body, you're always with black. Otherwise, if you're helping out the back as well, when you're the close family members who are welcoming people as well, you're always in black.
Mourning.
Whether
Okay.
you come on as a guest, come to pay your respects, you can come in any attire that you choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Respectful
Yes,
attire.
absolutely.
I just know a lot of the Polynesian cultures have the, what do you call them? I don't know. The basket. weave.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Tongans have
Yeah.
those and the Samoans have
Yeah.
these.
The
skirts.
skirts
Yeah.
made out of the
Nothing like that?
No.
thingy.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah.
Just the last day, all the family that are there. Ideally, you need to be in black just
Okay.
to pay respect.
Okay.
Respects.
How do you feel that your culture has influenced now how you raise your kids? Are they as involved as you were as a child, even though they're here, or how does that?
They were when we were back in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and they understand the process.
Yeah.
They understand what we do as well. Especially when my mother-in-law passed away, they knew what we were going to do as well. So
Did they go with
Yeah,
you?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so then they can slip into that situation quite
Yeah.
comfortably because they're well aware of you
Yeah,
talk
absolutely.
quite openly about it.
yes,
Okay.
So, Chaz, I heard a little snippet of a story when we were in coffee a while ago. It's a sad story because it was about your father and he's passing away. But I didn't hear it all. But the funeral service sounded very different, and I was just wanting you to tell all of our viewers there the story of your father's funeral, if you wouldn't mind,
Sure.
and the whole thing, and what happened, and where you took your dad, and all of that kind of thing.
well, first of all, my last conversation with my father was on the Sunday. So Dad died on Tuesday, the 31st of October, 2007.
Right.
And most weekends I call Mum and Dad. And my last conversation with my father was, "I love you, Dad." And my last words from him was, "I love you, boy." So those words I'll forever hold on to. And I was just so happy that those were the last words I was able to share with my father and then hear those words from him.
Wow.
Because it was Tuesday morning on October the 31st, I got a phone call from my sister.
And you were here in
No, I was
Brisbane?
actually, we were living in Wellington that time, and
Okay.
Mum and Dad were living in Hamilton.
Okay.
And so I got a phone call to say that, from my sister to say that Dad had passed away.
Was he unwell?
Yeah, he was. Dad
Okay.
had just suffered a stroke,
Right.
and he had a heart attack that morning.
That morning.
One of the things that I really love about, friendships and family that we do have, my best friend that lived just up the road, I lived at number 9 and my best friend lived at number 18. And he was actually be able to be there. Remember, so as family, we normally drop everything and go because Wellington to Hamilton is 6-7 hour drive.
Right. Yeah.
But my best friend,
he was there for you.
He was there to be able to take care. And he actually helped Dad. You know, Dad had fallen deceased because we have such a close family affiliation. My nephew, he lived with my mum and dad.
Right.
Called out to my mate. My mate come down and helped lift Dad back into the bed because Dad had fallen out of the bed.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, just having family members like that and friends like that you can, you know, because they know what goes on within our culture. It was really nice to know that
even though you couldn't be there that second and you were on your way.
My mate was there.
Dad was being looked after.
Dad was being looked after. So anyway, we travelled out. So Dad had gone to the funeral directors, and that time we were travelling out with my family to be with Dad.
And your mum was there with him?
Mum was there with him, and then I had 2 other siblings that lived in that area as well, down in Wellington, and other close family members, my nephews as well. Yeah. We all drove up, and so what we like to do is we meet together, and then we all drive together. We pull over. Nice. We, you know, no one's going by themselves, so we just keep each other safe.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? It's like, arrive in a big convoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also when we move together like that, whenever we move, we always say our own little prayer. Like even to this day, even right here, even here in Australia. Every morning whenever we go away, every morning when I go into the ocean, you know, I love going paddleboarding. Yeah. Every time I go surfing or paddleboarding, I'm always acknowledging and having a quick prayer. Back to that, our family, we had a prayer. We all travelled in a convoy to get together. We arrived at the house, and Mum and Dad's house was there's traffic everywhere. Half the people in our street actually were at Mum and Dad's house to acknowledge Mum and Dad because they'd been there. Mum and Dad had been there for over 20, 30 years at that stage. So
well known, well liked.
Yes, very well known, well liked. But yeah, around the 31st of October, my cousin, I've got to tell you this, my cousin Shirley, if you ever watch this.
Hi Shirley.
So my dad was quite cheeky. My dad was really cheeky, and so was my cousin. And my cousin was trying to invite some kids in that were going around doing Halloween trick or treat. She was trying to invite some kids in to come and see my dad for trick or treat. Fortunately for her, my mum caught her. Said, "Who are these kids?"
That'd get them.
So my mum caught my cousin and said, "Auntie, but this is what Uncle John would do." And she's like, "Get those kids out of here." But yeah, a little story around, you know, because it was Halloween and so forth.
That's so funny. Oh, bless you, Shirley.
So we went through the proceedings of acknowledging Dad and had my loves with Dad as well. And, with my rest of my siblings as well there, whilst Dad was laying and stayed at home. Then family and meals and so forth, and we have our prayers with Dad. And then the next day we to take Dad to our marae, which was 45 minutes down the road. I took the front seat out of his Jeep. So out of his Jeep, we took the front seat out of his Jeep. We laid the back seat down, and I actually put Dad laid in state with the coffin closed.
In his own Jeep.
In his own Jeep while I was driving.
Seatbelt? No seatbelt.
Yeah, no, I did put the seatbelt over. Yeah, just put the seatbelt over.
Safety first.
Well, what was he going to do? Die?
Nobody could have flown out and hit someone else.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, we did put the seatbelt on. But then also I went past Dad's local watering hole. I went to the pub.
Oh, you went to the pub?
Yeah, I went to the pub. I drove past Dad's local pub and honked out to Dad's local joints as well.
Oh, you went to the pub with your dad. My dad would love that one. Maybe I should have done that with my dad.
And then we sort of just took Dad to his local weird places that Dad would go to as well.
So you did the rounds, so he could say goodbye. And...
Yes.
That's
not that he didn't want to get out, but we just did the rounds.
Oh, I didn't want to get out. No. Oh, bless him. Well, he was too comfortable.
Yeah, he was.
It would have been hard work getting him out, putting him in.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, and then we took Dad to our marae, our village, and that's when we got welcomed on to our village as well, and then we go through the whole proceedings of bereavement for Dad.
Yeah. So after you did all the ceremony with Dad, did you then take him back in his car to take him to the burial site?
Yes. Yeah, we did.
So you travelled in the car as well. That's fascinating.
And then the pallbearers are always family members too, like my nephews, and then and because where we walked Dad, we had to walk Dad quite a fair way. So You know, you're calling out to a cousin, hey, your turn to come grab
Yeah.
Dad. And then so
Tag
it is. You're pretty much tagging all the way down,
Yeah.
and then right to the last spot, and then it's always close family members who walk Dad right to his
Right to the very back.
to the grave,
Yeah.
and then.
Wow.
So you go back and visit him when you can go back to New Zealand.
Yeah, but you know, I was even speaking today to Mum today, and you know, most weeks I'll give Mum a call,
That's good.
and I always ask her, "How's Dad?" She, he hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have a little jovial conversation
That's
as well.
lovely.
How's she doing?
Mum's doing really well.
Is she?
Yeah, and in her words, you can't kill a weed.
Oh, thank you, Chaz, for sharing that story of Dad. It
You're
was
welcome.
just a lovely story, and it's so nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you.
It
Thanks for
has
that.
been
You're welcome.
wonderful
Thank you.
talking to you. And guys, any questions? I'm sure Chaz wouldn't mind answering in the future, would you, Chaz?
No,
if we
not
get
at
any
all.
questions?
No, we'll send them through. We'll see what he
We'll
has to
send them
say
through,
and answer
but,
them for you.
Yeah, but fascinating, and thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
The language, I love it, and your culture's just fabulous and fascinating, and you're lucky to have such amazing family around you.
Yeah.
And thanks, Chaz. Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome. And guys, you must have to say thanks to Chaz because he's done an awesome job to be with us today.